Vaccines are a part of modern life, required for attending school, before immigrating, and traveling to some countries. Yet as more people each day receive COVID-19 vaccines, society must tackle a big problem before things return to pre-pandemic normal: how to verify who has been vaccinated. The closest thing to a standard of verification is the World Health Organization's International Certificate of Vaccine or Prophylaxis, or Yellow Card, an official but paper record. And the yellow card is for yellow fever, not for COVID-19. In the United States, vaccine tracking is done at the state, not federal level. Though the CDC offers a vaccination record card for patients, it does not keep a record of who's been vaccinated. Enter the Digital Vaccine Certificate, or Vaccine Passport. Common Pass is just one of several initiatives launched by private, nonprofit, and for-profit groups in the past year.
Common Pass is a platform, an app that lets people collect their laboratory results and vaccination records and use those to be able to show their COVID-19 status, to get back to travel, back to work, back to life, while protecting their data privacy.
IBM Digital Health Pass is a platform that gives the opportunity for individuals to demonstrate their vaccination status or their testing status.
Here's how they might work. When a patient is vaccinated, their participating doctor or clinic creates a unique digital certificate. The proof of vaccination can be stored for later in an encrypted digital wallet on a smartphone or chip card. When the vaccinated patient travels, they open the pass with biometric ID or thumbprint. The airline, venue, or office scans the pass, but only sees a yes or no confirmation if the passenger satisfies set requirements, matched to their ticket and identification.
Now we are in a pilot phase with many different companies across the world. And in the transportation space, we have employers using the solution to bring their employees back into an office. And we also have pilots in the entertainment and stadium space.
There's still many countries where you have to demonstrate that you've been vaccinated for yellow fever to travel. This is just, an extension of that model, but doing it in a more secure, digitally reliable way.
In fact, millions of Canadians already have access to something very similar: Can Immunize, a free digital vaccination record app launched in response to the 2010 H1N1 pandemic. But privacy experts worry vaccine passports are being rushed.
Throughout this pandemic, we've seen technology companies trying to insert themselves into the middle of a public health crisis. And while some of them are well-intentioned, we continue to see them insist that they have the solution to this public health nightmare, even when we're not hearing that request coming from public health officials themselves. We've seen exposure notification systems, high-tech contact tracing apps that were introduced in the early days of this pandemic. And time and again, we've seen them become a high-tech distraction from evidence-based responses to the pandemic. You aren't able to get the amount of public buy-in or even the technical structures that are needed for them to work.
But for the medical community, replacing the paper standard with a digital one is a modern necessity.
Clearly, digital technology is the way forward. I think everybody recognizes that we're going to need to move to a digital technology. As always happens in these cases, you have multiple vendors and organizations getting involved, and there's no standard for these, but they're very much needed.
We don't have the intention to be the only platform in the world. We know we have to interoperate with others, so we are part of many different initiatives to do that. That's number one. I think number two is the protection of privacy is extremely critical if we want adoption to start and increase.
If you're signing up for this app, there's the cost that you're further normalizing this sort of surveillance. Yes, there's the fact that you're making this technology more of a part of your life, but there's also the fact that you're creating this false expectation that you're protected from COVID-19.
Soon after he took office, President Biden signed an executive order calling for the federal government to study the feasibility of electronic vaccine records. And yet, even without government sanctioning, airlines and others are moving ahead, adapting technologies from COVID-19 test checks for vaccination passport apps. Developers say dozens of major airlines with hundreds of destinations will use their apps this spring. By then, they hope to have won the trust of a vaccinated public.